What It Takes Radio Company on this Sunday evening of Palm Sunday. Here we are in the transplant zone. And today we're going to talk about something that relates very much to this day. Yes, nothing that is worthwhile is ever easy or free. So we have a brief update on Gary and his new heart. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your prayers. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Stan, and it's been a while, but here we are from the Transplant Zone. Transplant Zone, it's put together with host Gary Register, who has been waiting for a heart transplant for some time, and now has a new heart, and a whole new start to life, and a whole new way of living, which is ahead of him. However, Gary is a living example of a great truth, and that is nothing that is worthwhile or good or all of the other good things we think about. Usually, if it's good and worthwhile, it's seldom easy. And of course, the heart transplant really puts him at a certain point where he's right in the middle of life and death. Because that's what that surgery, that procedure, whatever they want to call it, is all about. It is about making a decision to take a risk and perhaps find a way through someone else's tragedy and trauma so that there is a life that is saved and a victory that is accomplished. It truly is a miracle in every sense of the word, and oftentimes it's a miracle in the real spiritual sense that it is an act of a divine grace. Well, Gary has taught me a lot about that, but one of the things which I love about him is the fact that he always has some stories and ways of, as his organization is, Help I Will. And some time ago, Gary came to me and he gave me, and this is just a sample of it, he gave me several rolls of brand new U.S. quarters. This is just a small fraction of all quarters that he gave me. And I said, Gary, what do you keep all these quarters for? Well, he told me why. And so I've decided to call these, they're not quarters. We're going to just have fun with them and call them grace chips. You know, you've heard of poker chips or, chip in. Grace chips. You see, Gary has a habit of just giving away quarters. Just quarters. Maybe lots of them. Maybe a few of them. But here's the point. He doesn't give them as a tip. He doesn't give them as a payment. He just gives them to people. Because maybe they want them. Maybe they need them. Maybe it's a way of telling them a story. And it is simply given because it's like grace. It's free. You don't deserve it. You didn't do anything to merit it. But here you are. Grace chips. And so I've really taken that message to heart, and maybe you should too. In fact, as a result of that, many people have now said, based on this kind of story, that they're going to make sure they save all the quarters they can and just give them away. Whenever, whatever. To children, to older people, younger people, whoever. Particularly to people who perhaps need a grace chip. And that's a lot of what the transplant zone is all about. Those people who have taken the risk to enter the transplant zone. You'll have the best scientists, the best surgeons, the best medical facilities. But guess what is necessary? Also, you will need perhaps a significant touch of grace. And of course, what Gary has done, and particularly in these messages that he's given to you, he has said, I have been graced by Jesus. And today, those of us in the Christian tradition come together and we talk about the fact that in spite of the fact that someone says there are no kings, there is a king. And on this particular day, they celebrate when the new king, Jesus, met the old king, Pilate. The story is that probably, if you know history, that the day that Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey as the king, Caesar rode in to Jerusalem on a war horse. And there was the difference. One was a king of power and domination and in control. The other was a king of love and peace and grace and true freedom. And that's something to remember. And so I would just encourage you to remember that. And remember, all good things are hard. Part of the way that this has happened for Gary and why he hasn't been able to make quite the appearances he's wanted is that he went through a stretch of time of very difficult, and we were wondering, and it could be that the very medicine that was meant to help him stave off the rejection in the transplant just might have been in a combination of things that as a result, it actually hurt him. And the medicine that was supposed to help him did just the opposite. Well, that is hopefully being taken care of. And Gary is waiting and praying and hoping that very soon, maybe he will be able to celebrate the Easter with his continuing story. That he too, because of what Jesus did, because of what King Jesus was able to accomplish, he was given new life. A true, in a sense, resurrection of opportunity. A second chance. A new way to make a difference and live a life that matters. And that is certainly what this week is all about. Just something to think about as many of you go through this Holy Week. It's about freedom. It's about perhaps a new heart, a new way of looking, and finding that deep inside, all of us have been given many, many grace chips. And somehow, maybe, what we should do is share them with others. On behalf of Gary and the rest of us here in the Transplant Zone, all the best and blessings to you. Until next time, and I hope it'll be very shortly that Gary will be back in touch with you. Till then, best and blessings. Give grace to somebody else. Make sure you are a signed up donor, and make sure that you are praying for people who every day are going through the life and death of the transplant zone. Till next time, bye for now.